everyone. Welcome to SCV Means Business, the podcast of the Santa Clarita Valley Economic Development Corporation. I am Holly Schroeder, your host today, and pleased to bring you a slightly different kind of episode today. We're going to be talking with Neal Weichel of the Neal Weichel Group. He's a realtor, has a realtor group with RE/MAX, and Neal has been a realtor in the Santa Clarita Valley for a very long time. Is very familiar with the different neighborhoods, and so we thought we'd take you on a little bit of a tour of some of the different areas of the Santa Clarita Valley. And so thank you, Neal, for being here with me today. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
And I wanted to do this, so maybe we can just start. Part of why I wanted to have you on and talk to you, Neal, is because we've been seeing a lot of folks moving to the Santa Clarita Valley from different parts, and I guess I'd like to hear your experience with that over the past couple of years. But you know, we're really seeing a lot of population growth right now, people moving in. So what are you seeing on your end?
Yeah, so well, and I can gauge this really accurately for the simple reason that I market, digitally all over the world. So you can see where people are looking or inquiring, the questions they ask, and what their interest level is. And I've done this for 31 years, Holly. I've never seen the interest in Santa Clarita that I've seen in the last two. From all over. It used to be people would move up here from the San Fernando Valley because, they wanted better schools and they wanted safest city in the United States and they wanted maybe a master plan Valencia or whatever they wanted. They saw it as a lifestyle improvement and they were going to trade off perhaps a little bit of a commute in order to get a newer home, a more affordable home, whatever it might be. And that drove this valley for a long time and still does. But in the last few years, it's been, wow, I can get that in that neighborhood with that lifestyle. So we're getting people from all over Southern California. I've got people that, literally work out of San Diego, but they have home here in Santa Clarita. And, we just never saw that before.
Yeah, I mean, we know that the Economic Development Corporation is working on bringing more jobs here, but throughout the pandemic, people have the opportunity to work from home or work remotely. Sure. And that's really freeing people up in their location choices. Yeah,
it's a game changer. So I'll have people that'll work down in like El Segundo or that corridor, and they live here. And now maybe they don't have to go down 5 days a week. Maybe they go down 1 day a week or even 3 days a week. They can schedule in a manner that avoids traffic. And so what the trade-off is they live here where their family is safe and can go to great public schools. There's no private school necessary. Everything is new and master plan. There's no graffiti on the walls, and you can travel easily. You don't have, big traffic issues like you do down in the surface streets. And they just see it as a complete different lifestyle change, a much more, easy to live in kind of an environment. Candidly, in my view, the only real trade-off is, it's a little hotter here in the summer and you don't get an ocean breeze if you live down in El Segundo and you moved up to here, or you lived in Long Beach and you moved up to here, or you lived down in, the San Fernando Valley and you moved up to here. I mean, we have a lot of boxes that people check when they look at what they're looking for in a new home or a new lifestyle.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So, I want to take a little bit of a tour through different sort of major, communities within the Santa Clarita Valley. And let's start, you mentioned the master plan. So let's start with Valencia. And tell me about, who's looking at Valencia? What kind of families or people might find that attractive? What attributes sort of set that community apart?
Yeah, well, in Valencia, right? I mean, paseos. At one time, one of the 50 best places to live in the United States when they did one of those rankings, really highly rated schools, lots of parks and pools and community amenities. And, so since 1968, when the master plan started, Valencia has always had something to offer people moving from out of the area, but also people that already live here and simply want maybe a larger home or a smaller home or a different home. Valencia is the largest geographic area. It covers a big area, starting down where my office is, as soon as you come into the valley, right at Lyons Avenue and the 5 freeway, and then going all the way up to Copper Hill. So it covers a big area. And of course, now with the new 5 Points development, which I'm sure we'll talk about at some point, it'll be by far the biggest area. So let's talk about Valencia. Valencia has a really wide variety of homes, from stuff built in the 60s where you get larger lots and mature trees and beautiful, every neighborhood has a community pool and a community park and cul-de-sacs and paseos, which are walking trails with, bridges over each of the major streets. So when your kids go to school, they never have to cross a busy street. They take the little bridge over Orchard Village Drive or whatever it is. It's this very well designed and planned community. The shopping is over here, the residential is here, the park and the pool is over here, and never the twain shall meet, right? It was all planned in a way that makes sense. And so who moves there? Everybody. We get first-time buyers that want to buy a condo. We get first-time buyers that want to buy a home, and maybe they don't want something, further up in the valley, up towards Saugus. They want to be closer in for whatever reason, more amenity, close to the downtown Newhall kind of redevelopment vibe. Maybe they like that, or maybe they have to go into the valley regularly. Maybe they have family there, or maybe they, work there or whatever. So in town Valencia, which is literally right as soon as you come into our valley, you've really got a wide variety of choices. And of course, what you also have is you have single-story homes. And a large amount of our valley was built in the last 20 years or so. And if you know anything about the development business, they don't build single stories. So if somebody wants a single story, maybe it's somebody my demographic and a little bit older and they're tired of the big two-story house, they want a single story, or maybe it's somebody who just wants a single story, period. You've got a wide variety of choices in Valencia that you may not have in some of the newer communities, like the newer part of Valencia, 5 Points, or the newer sections of Valencia that are up off of Copper Hill. So when I think of Valencia, I just think of, man, there's literally something for everybody. You've got really amazing executive homes, maybe over here on the summit, the Valencia Summit with an 80-acre park and, all kinds of wonderful amenities that are so popular. Or a larger, newer home. A lot of times people do like newer homes because, the floor plans are so conducive to modern living. If you work from home, you've got lots of good spaces to choose from for office and that kind of a thing in a larger, more open floor plan. So, I mean, we could talk about Valencia for 25 minutes and we won't, but it's amazing. It's got everything for everybody, and you just have to pick what you're looking for.
Yeah, and it, as you said, it's the largest area, and because it was a master plan, it really does have all of those features. It's got spots for schools, it's got spots for parks, spots for your religious institutions, your churches and such, right. And it really does make all of those amenities and services accessible to people.
Well, I was just going to say, you've also got, golf courses. You've got town center, if you want to go, out to eat or the movies, and it's all right in the middle of everything. So it's just, there's a lot that Valencia offers that you're never too far of when you live in Valencia. Whether it's recreation, golf, tennis, that kind of thing, or whether it's shopping, movies, dining, whatever at town center or all the area around it.
Okay, so let's go sort of counterclockwise. Let's go clockwise around the Santa Clarita Valley, and we'll come back and end with some of the new development discussion. So we can go over maybe like Stevenson Ranch, and then Westridge, which maybe is part of Valencia, depending on who you ask.
Yeah, sure. Well, it is part of Valencia. So Westridge was a long time in development. It took forever for them to get it the way they wanted, and when they did it, they hit a home run. Westridge was built around, a championship level golf course, and I work a lot in what's called the 91381 zip code. And the 91381 zip code is all of Stevenson Ranch and Westridge, Valencia. And the reason why is because some of the highest rated schools in the state are in that little corridor. So you'll get people saying, I just want 91381. They don't even know why they want it. They just know that the schools associated with it are there. So, you've got the golf course, you've got the highly rated schools, and for anybody commuting, you're right off the freeway. You've got a lot of really large, expensive executive home choices. You've got some entry-level stuff too, but it's really geared towards, a more expensive price point. To wrap up, Stevenson Ranch, Valencia, Westridge, I mean, when I'm showing a buyer, they, especially if they're from out of the area, they really don't care. They want to see the whole area because it all goes into the same schools. Now, as you're going further up the 5 freeway and you go into, our big industrial center with all kinds of growth and jobs there, you've got the Castaic community. And Castaic, a lot of people think Castaic is way out there. And the truth of the matter is, it isn't way out there. It's, 5, 7, 8 minutes up the freeway, and you have lots more choices. For example, if you go into Hasley Canyon, which is a very expensive part of Castaic, you've got equestrian, you've got, all kinds of homes on 1, 2, 3, 5 acre lots. And yet you can be at town center in 10 minutes. You could be tucked away feeling like you're in the middle of nowhere and be at the mall in 10 minutes. Castaic offers a more affordable option for a lot of people. And of course, if you work in the industrial center, you're literally 2 or 3 minutes away. We've got a lot of new construction coming to Castaic, including what's being built right now by Lance Williams, which is a really amazing project. We'll have North Lake 2, which is going to be another several thousand homes. So the path of progress in our valley is headed that way off of the 126 and into Castaic. And Castaic in general has done very, very well the last couple of years in terms of appreciation, because people have kind of discovered all that it offers.
And Castaic, also, when I think of Castaic, I also think about sort of some of the recreational options. You're
Sure.
really close to Castaic Lake. It's not very far if you go north to get into sort of open space of, the National Forest. So it's got a lot of sort of different kind of feel as a result of that.
Yeah, for sure. And it's a world famous bass fishing lake, right? Like world records have come out of Castaic Lake. There's a number of lakes in that area. You go a little further up and you've got Pyramid Lake. And these offer, not just fishing, of course, but, to your point, recreation. A lot of people will get up there and jet ski and water ski and do these kinds of things. There's lots of family community events up there. You've got the Aquatic Center and the Community Center. There's a big 4th of July thing there with the fireworks. And it's very much, the kind of family vibe and fun kind of community to live in where, people are friendly and you get to know your neighbors. And, it's just there's all kinds of things that you can do there. And you've got a lot of dedicated open space, to your point, so people go hiking or biking or whatever they do. And there's lots of options. That's the nice thing about Santa Clarita. We're surrounded by all these wonderful hills that have just all kinds of outdoor, options if you're into that kind of thing. And people love it. Yeah,
absolutely. All right, let's continue going clockwise here, and let's go into Saugus area.
I love Saugus.
So tell me about what attracts you over there.
Yeah, so Saugus, the way I would always present Saugus to people coming from outside the area is it had a lot of the nice things that Valencia did. You could just get more for your money there. And what I meant by that was if you were willing to drive just a little bit further out, you would get a newer home. This was back in the 90s, especially, and 2000s. And you'd get, a larger home, and you'd have maybe an extra 15 minutes each way in your commute to get that. The Saugus School District, the elementary school district there, is one of the highest rated elementary school districts in the state. In fact, a number of the Valencia elementary schools are in the Saugus School District. And so it's really the only downside, if there is one, to Saugus is you got to drive a little further to get there. But the neighborhoods are extremely well maintained. You've got really popular builders that went up there and put some nice floor plans together. Very family oriented, highly rated schools. And it doesn't have the paseos that Valencia does, but it's got plenty of parks. Central Park, of course, is right in the middle of everything there, and that's where we have, summer's coming, right? So we've got concerts in the park and all these great activities that are done there. And Saugus is a very proud community. They're proud in their schools. They're proud of, of all the things that the community offers. And people that live there, stay a long time there. They don't leave because they love it.
Yeah, it's and as more people, that even if you have to do a little bit further time on the roads to get to, say, a freeway, as you do have people working from home and things, that's become a really great option for them.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a part of Saugus that for a long time was kind of a little bit of a hard sell, if you will. It's the Plum Canyon area. And as you know, we've got a big new construction project going on right there now called Skyline, right? Skyline butts up against Plum Canyon. And in the last 2 years, no part of town has had more interest compared to what it used to have than that area of town. The Plum Canyon Skyline area has just exploded because people like the new homes. They like getting solar with their house. They like all these amenities. The clubhouse and pool that was created in Skyline you know, and the rock wall, and you know, all this stuff. It's just it's next level in terms of amenity. And so, you know, people really respond to that. And in the old days, you know, people would say to me, yeah, Neal, but it's 25 minutes to your office, right? If I want to get down to the 5 and the 14 to get into the valley, it's a long ways. And the truth is it is. But now if you work from home, they don't care. And if they work in the industrial center, it's 15 minutes along Copper Hill Drive at the most, sometimes even 10. So that area is just really, really done well. And I think we'll continue to do so.
Well, and one, it's skyline, so we actually have, you know, a lot of lots with views, and so there's a lot of opportunity there. And one thing I think that people who have lived in, you know, in areas that were developed a long time ago, you know, so maybe they were built maybe in the 20s or 30s, or they were built in the post-war era, they don't necessarily think about things like new roads. Sure. And, you know, there's new road connecting that skyline down to Sierra Highway. So Correct. That's, you know, as we build these developments, we're creating new transportation options for people that, you know, really change kind of the landscape of what, you know, what a commute or what, you know, what it means to get to get to a school, get to a store. You know, that's all changing. It's because of the new transportation.
You bet. Streets. And lots of one of the things that I've enjoyed since I moved up here in 1987 is just the expansion, you know, just of restaurants and, you know, just options that are here as opposed to having to go outside the valley. I remember when I moved up here and my son wanted to play hockey, we had to go down into the valley, you know, to the ice rink in Van Nuys. You know, now that rink doesn't exist, but our cube here in Valencia does. I mean, you know, we've got an ice you know, a world-class, you know, facility that people come to from all over the place because, you know, finding ice space is so difficult and it doesn't exist, you know, the way the demand would think it would. So, you know, this is what we have, right, is we have all these different options that we just frankly didn't have 20, 30 years ago. And roads is part of it, parks and amenities is part of it. You know, it really makes for a nice place to live where a lot of the stuff you want is here now, whereas a long time ago, we just didn't have it.
All right, let's keep going on our tour and head over to Canyon Country.
You bet. So Canyon Country, you know, I always describe our valley as like a big piece of pie, right? We've got this side is an east side and a west side, and the Canyon Country side has also really enjoyed a lot of growth in the last few years. In fact, Skyline actually goes into Canyon Country from Saugus. And so why do people go to Canyon Country? Well, first of all, like Hasley Canyon on the west side of town, you've got Sand Canyon on the east side of town, and some of the most expensive real estate in this valley is in Sand Canyon. You've got amazing, amazing properties there. You've got a strong equestrian community, but beyond that, you've also got a lot of newer homes that were built, you know, by builders, you know, like Greystone back in the day, which were just these really, you know, current functional floor plans on the golf course there at Robinson Ranch that, you know, people just said, hey, you know, there's nothing like that anywhere else in Santa Clarita. I'm going to go buy that. So you've got a real nice set of options in Sand Canyon if you can afford it. And then outside of it, you've got Vista Canyon now, you know, just an amazing, you know, mixed-use development, very current and very forward-thinking in its use of resources. You've got entry level there. You've got lots of apartments there if you just wanted to move to Santa Clarita and get a feel for the place. And of course, you know, the metro station and all the you know, the good things that, you know, we're going to have transportation-wise if people want to take the train into town. You know, just a real home run as far as, you know, the way it was designed and thought about and ultimately brought to, you know, to the community. So that's the Canyon Country side. And then starting about, you know, almost 20 years ago now, Part E went in and built the Fair Oaks Ranch community, which is on, you know, the other side of the 14 from what had been developed to that point. And Fair Oaks Ranch is really popular because for commuters, you're right off the 14. You can be on the 14 and up to the Antelope Valley in 3 minutes. You can be on the 14 and down to the 5 to get into the San Fernando Valley. So location-wise, it's ideal. It also has parks. It's got, you know, great schools and all the rest of it. But people love that location. And they also like the idea that when they built it, it had that master plan to it the way Valencia did. A lot of the Canyon Country communities didn't quite have that because of when they were built. So this one came in the early 2000s, and Part E said, we're going to do what they did over there because that looks really popular, and people loved it, and they still do.
And then as we continue, now we're kind of going south, I guess, and you head into Newhall.
Yeah, good old
Yeah, a
Newhall,
lot of
right?
variety in that area.
Yeah, well, Newhall, of course, was the beginning, right, of our valley. You can, look at the history of our valley back to the silent movies and the Western movie stars. You've got, very famous movie facilities out here in Santa Clarita, and you go back to when Gunsmoke was, filmed in Plum Canyon at Melody Ranch, and we could go on and on. But Newhall has a history to it. That's really just a fun and kind of interesting history that even a lot of local residents don't know. But what's happened in Newhall is honestly nothing short of amazing, both in the commercial sector with the Needham ranches and some of the new companies that have come here that you could speak to, but also in the residential center. I mean, when the city decided to make downtown Newhall redevelopment a priority and put the library in, and then all of a sudden the Lemley theaters and Newhall crossings, and then the restaurants and the bars, and just this whole kind of pedestrian, let's get out and walk up and down Main Street. I mean, it's very popular and doing very well, and I think will only continue to really grow in that area. So you've got all kinds of different looks to Newhall, right? You've got like Wildwood Canyon, which is these amazing custom homes on 5-acre parcels that's literally, as the crow flies, 2 miles away from downtown Newhall, and you can be on Lyons Avenue at your local market in 3 minutes, and yet you never know it because it's in the hills and it's kind of tucked back, and it's part of the whole Happy Valley area, which is so popular, where you've got homes on these big lots that you used to have back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and you just can't find today with new construction. So Newhall is really for those that maybe don't even want a master plan. They want a custom home, or they want something that's a little different from all the others. And yet the beauty of it is you're in town, same great school things, and you can be close to anything in a minute. Then you've got Placerita Canyon, where Masters University is, which is a very well-known, university. And you've got a variety of different looks there in Placerita Canyon, which are kind of unique to Newhall. And so there's these neighborhoods, and they all have their own vibe to them. And people find there's really literally something for everybody, right? Whether you want to, move out here and buy a condo, or whether you want to, rent right in downtown Newhall and get a feel for it, or you want to buy a large equestrian property in Wildwood Canyon or Placerita Canyon, or just a tract home, up closer to the 5. I mean, there's almost every flavor of the rainbow that exists in Newhall.
So as we've talked, Neal, we talked about some of the new construction that's going on. You mentioned 5 Point Valencia. You mentioned Williams Ranch. We talked about Skyline, Vista Canyon, and there's one of the things that I think is also a great advantage for the Santa Clarita Valley is that we do have new homes. What are you seeing when you look at those new homes? I mean, I always think, it's going to be to how we live today. I mean, what are you seeing as features that they bring that draws people to the new homes versus looking at maybe an older home?
Yeah, and I will tell you, since we sell new homes right along with resale homes, what I notice more than anything else in the new is the desire of younger people. Like the demographic trends younger there. And by younger, I mean, let's just say under 40. Because the lots are not big there. You don't get big lots in new construction anymore. And they don't care. They're like, hey, this is a smart house. This is energy efficient. I've got solar. I've got the community vegetable garden over there. And I've got the pool center over there. I can be on the freeway in 2 minutes. Everything is new. It's big, open, great rooms and spacious enough bedrooms, and the trade-off is the lot, right? You just don't get a big lot there. They don't exist. But what you get is a brand new home that's very kind of current and forward thinking, and younger people really respond to that. It's not that people my age don't. It's just you don't have any single stories. You don't have any larger lots. So you're looking at primarily a different type of buyer. I would venture to say that probably 70% of the sales up there have been for 40, maybe 45 and under. Whereas if I take somebody over to Happy Valley, Newhall, or Valencia that wants a single story, they might be 50 plus. So, and that's, just on the other side of the freeway. It's not like you got to go far to find it, but the new master plan, and of course, going to continue for a long time. I mean, what I'm saying today, if we run this back in 10 years, as 5 Points goes and starts, building further up the 126 and further up in the hills, some of those will likely have larger lots. And, amazing views, because so much of our valley has hills where, views are very common here and very, desirable. Whereas if you're in the flats somewhere that, views don't exist, well, you get them here, right? Because we're ringed by foothills and such. So 5 Points is it's just a couple years in now, but the community amenities have been very well received. And I think as they continue to build it out, you'll see, a wider demographic. But for right now, I would say it skews younger for sure.
That's great. Well, Neal, so what closing points, would you make? What didn't we cover? I mean, we went around the valley, and there are so many different communities and different types of homes that people can find. What is it that you find people are looking for today when they come considering like where they want to decide to locate in the Santa Clarita Valley?
Yeah, I mean, that's an easy answer, Holly. It's schools. If you were to take the top 5 reasons why people move here, number 1 and second isn't really close, is schools. Schools is what drives people here. This is a family-oriented community. And it doesn't necessarily mean that everybody moving here has kids. My kids are long gone. But a lot of times I'll get the parents of the kids, right? The grandparents, if you will, moving here because they want to be closer to the grandkids. And why are the grandkids there to start with? Because of the schools. So after schools, they do these rankings of safest places to live, over 100,000, or in our case, over 200,000 people. Santa Clarita is always in the top 10 for the country, right? And that's important. It's important to me. It's important to the people that are moving here. They want to feel safe. They want to feel comfortable. So number 1, schools. Number 2, safety. Number 3, I think it's just the way everything looks. It's a very beautiful community, right? Whether it's, watching the hills turn green when we get a little bit of rain and seeing how pretty that is, or, just looking at the way, everything is planned out and designed. I mean, it's just if you travel around other communities, you really come back and appreciate Santa Clarita. It's, there's no graffiti, just that. I mean, it looks like a very well-maintained area. I would say number 4 after all that would be new housing, right? Most of Southern California doesn't have it. And we have all kinds of choices, especially right now. I mean, you clicked off 4, and all of them are selling as we speak and will be selling for a while. So I would say those would be the top 4 reasons. And then I think maybe if I could just throw a 5th one out there, I think it's a very easy place to live, right? People are friendly to each other. Like when I go down in the city to see my daughter, it's like I'm battling traffic to go a couple of miles. I can never park anywhere. Maybe that's just my age showing, but to me, I think it's important to be able to live in a place comfortably and easily. And, Santa Clarita is that. I mean, we have more traffic than we used to, but it still only takes 20 minutes for me to go cross town. So I would say those would be the top 5 reasons, but schools at the top for sure.
Yeah, definitely a great school system. I'm partial number 3. When I come over Newhall Pass into town and see sort of the hills in the distance, it just feels, it feels like you're home. And yeah. It just, because we have the hills around us, it makes us sort of, a very distinct, geographic community. Sure. But it's also, it's a short hop to get down to an international airport. You can go down to a Dodgers game. You can do all of those great things. And that's certainly one of the things I really appreciate about the community.
Yeah,
so Neal, thanks for talking with me and taking us on the tour.
You're more and
really appreciate your time and your expertise.
We've got our own school district, our own sheriffs. I mean, all of that is why we're our own community, right? That lends to all of it, and people ask me about that all the time.
Yeah, it really does, I think, create that sense of community, that ease you talked about. And I think that really is part of what makes the place really special. So
agreed.
So thanks again, Neal. I really appreciate it. And thanks everybody for listening. This is SCV Means Business, and please subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for being here.